I just want to say thank you guys for giving me a chance to join you all today to share a little bit about what we're doing in cloud and specifically about how we're helping companies take the work out of getting work done with our newest solution, Avaya Cloud Office by RingCentral. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through just a quick overview of the product and how it can help your organization. And then what I figured I'd do is I would move into an actual demo so you can actually see the solution in action. If you have any questions throughout the today's session, put them into the chat window. We'll grab those at the end of the session. I'll try and stop a couple of times along the way to make sure that we're addressing those. One of the biggest benefits of moving to cloud is something that you don't necessarily even think about when you think about moving to cloud, because there's so much that's advertised. With the cloud, you get all the simplicity, you get fast, adding users, subtracting users. I'd like to share with you a customer story because I think it really illustrates one of the biggest benefits that organizations can find when they move to cloud. Now, this is a customer meeting, just to set time frames. I met with this customer. This meeting was back in June. We've been meeting with them since, but this meeting that I'm going to talk about happened in June. Now, before the meeting, our Avaya account team had let me know, why we were meeting with the customer. So this was an existing customer. They were using our Avaya Aura platform. And when the pandemic struck, they took advantage of our temporary licensing offer at the time to get their employees out of the office and to the safety of their homes. And they were able to do that. And the reason why we were meeting with this customer was because their licensing was coming up on expiration. So they needed to figure out what they were going to do next. When we met with this customer, literally from minutes of them joining the bridge, I knew this was going to be a different type of meeting that was going to stick with me for the rest of the year, because the customer joined the meeting and they shared a very sobering reality with us. They let me know that since the pandemic had begun, they had recognized no meaningful revenues. So think about timelines. The pandemic struck right around the end of February. We're meeting with this customer in June. They had gone months without any real revenue. And as a result, they had had a painful reduction in force. They always say that, the people that we work with are like family. For this organization, their CEO takes that to heart. He saw his staff as family, and having to let go of anybody felt like putting family on the street. So it was not something that they did lightly. Well, fast forward to June, and the conditions had not improved appreciably, and they were staring down the barrel of another, even more painful decision to make. So prior to making that decision, the CEO tasked all of the business leaders with digging through the couches, shaking every tree limb, look through your budgets to find any spare change that you find, because a little bit across a lot of people adds up to fewer people that we have to say goodbye to. And this is where our CIO that I met with um, kind of felt, I don't want to say guilty, but guilty, because they, while the rest of their colleagues were in the middle of cost cutting and contraction mode, they found themselves at a crossroads. They too needed to cut costs out of the business, but they also needed to spend money, because the whole reason we were meeting, the temporary licenses were coming up on expiration. Cut costs, spend money that they frankly don't have. So the easy answer is cloud, because with cloud, there's no upfront cost. So those licenses, you don't need to spend money for. And that would seem simple enough, except it doesn't address the second part of our CIO's journey. They need to contract and cut costs, not just avoid spending money. So we talked a little bit about their existing environment. I knew that they were using Avaya Aura, and I know all of the associated charges that come along with operating an on-premise phone system. Carrier services, network access, data center, all of that stuff, right? But I said, let's zoom out. What does the rest of your collaboration stack, and there's no pun intended there, what does the rest of your collaboration stack look like? What are you using for video? What are you using for messaging? And the customer let me know they were using Zoom. So again, no pun intended, but they were using Zoom for video, and they had gone through and gotten everybody their own personal video meeting bridge, because when they were working from home, everybody needed to have one. And everybody was using Slack. They were a Slack customer pre-pandemic. It took a lot of their email traffic down, and after everybody worked from home, it helped keep everybody together, even though they were apart. So we started talking about the costs that they were incurring by, maintaining this best of breed, multi-vendor, monolithic stack. And, we asked, is this a luxury? Never mind, can you afford, but is it a luxury that's actually delivering value to your organization? What does Slack or Zoom do that really is something that's so unique that nobody else does? And the reality is, when you build a collaboration stack with a best of breed mindset, you consume things like video and messaging as standalone apps. But when we start to think about cloud, if you can change your thinking from best of breed to best of suite, well, you can save a ton of money because apps become features when you move to cloud. You don't need to have a standalone video meeting service because it's bundled into your unified communications as a service seat. You don't need a standalone messaging platform because it's bundled into the app. Everything is in one app and it's in one subscription. So just by changing your thinking, we can save you a ton of money. And the CIO looked at this and we did some back of the napkin math, and they found by just moving to cloud, they could actually offset 2 IT headcount reductions. Very, very powerful stuff. So at the end of the day, this customer uttered a quote, and I use this with every meeting. They asked, and I think you should probably ask yourself, what am I potentially paying twice for? And what does it do to justify the additional expense? Now, I'll tell you, for this customer, replacing Zoom with the built-in video conferencing that they get from Avaya Cloud Office was an easy pickup. It's just changing out an Outlook plugin and telling people to send a new calendar invite, instant savings without very much disruption. When they looked at their messaging platform, when they looked at Slack, that was a harder decision to make because taking data out of a messaging platform and uploading it into a new messaging platform just doesn't exist. So it's more of a hard cut. So that was a decision that they had to make. I'll tell you, ultimately, they decided to move out of Slack and move over to Avaya Cloud Office, just simply because of the cost savings. Your organization may be different. You're going to hear in a little bit about how you have options there. But ultimately, when you think about moving to cloud, the cost savings is really the main feature. Everything else that it does for you is just a benefit. Increases in productivity, adding mobility, instant access to management, easy admin. Those are all benefits. The main driver to move to cloud is cost savings. But then the CIO asked, am I being short-sighted here? Right. I see that I can save a ton of money by moving to cloud, but I'm also going to stop buying gear and then depreciating it. I'm moving everything to a per user per month model. Am I being short-sighted at the cost of long-term goals or long-term cost? But the reality is, when you move to cloud, not only can you save a ton of money up front, you can actually lower your total cost of operations over its lifetime. And to prove this point out, I want you to visualize your organization and visualize your communication stack like an iceberg, right? If you take your specs, your number of users and the needs that you have, and you put out an RFP, and you got a response from a software vendor, and you got a response for the exact same design from a cloud vendor, well, the quotes are going to look a lot alike. The quotes are the ice that's above the surface. Both of them will include a per user line item. On the software side, it's a license. On the cloud side, it's a subscription. Both of them will include devices for the people that need them, desk phones, headsets, video conferencing gear, and both of them will include some implementation fees. But when you dive beneath the surface, this is where the difference between the two proposals becomes magnified. Now, I'll tell you, when I was a customer, I would have done return on investment math and said, this is a no-brainer. I've got the money to spend. I'm going to buy the software. Because if I sign the cloud side, sure, I don't need to spend the money, but I'm spending that money from now until the end of time. If I buy the software, there'll be this magical moment over the next 3 to 5 years where it will, quote unquote, save me money. Well, if you dive into the water after you sign for the software proposal, you're going to realize you might have just made a pretty substantial mistake because you're just getting started. There's so much that's not on the quote that you need to actually run your solution, starting with a data center. You've got to have somewhere to actually host the application. You've got to rent that. You've got to power that. You've got to back it up both with batteries and with a generator. Then you need somewhere to run the application. So you're talking about compute, storage, and virtualization and networking resources, hardware, software, maintenance. Then you need carrier services so you can talk to the outside world. You need network access so your users and locations can access this application in the data center. Then you have maintenance around all of that. And now you've built a single point of failure. If you want to make this solution highly available, times 2. If you want to make it globally redundant, times 3, times 4, times 5. So it's easy to see how the costs can really spiral away from you and how many of those costs are actually hidden when you're looking at a quote from a software company. Now, if you look at the cloud quote, when you dive underneath the water, you're going to realize the ice is really shallow. Sure, you need some network access, internet, maybe it's SD-WAN, but that's about it. Everything else is included in the subscription, which means not only is the total cost of ownership of a cloud-based solution lower than its on-premise counterpart, it's actually more predictable as well. You know what is included or what your operational costs will be on an employee by employee basis. One of the other big benefits that will take the headaches out of your ongoing management of your infrastructure is the fact that a cloud-based solution is unlike anything else that you buy. With most products that you buy, the first day is the best day. For example, when you buy a brand new car and you drive it off the lot, take a mental snapshot because it is only downhill from there. The more you drive it, dust gathers on the Armor All dash and tires, the new car smell fades, kids leave wrappers and toys all over the place. That moment you drive it off the lot is the best it will ever be. A cloud-based service is the exact opposite of that. The first day is the worst day. As awesome as these solutions are, they're only going to improve over time, which back when I was a customer meant I could get out of the Hunger Games battle every year for upgrade budget. I don't have to try and get money to get a new upgrade. I don't have to kind of fight for budget every year to try and apply new patches. Everything just rolls to me. Every year I've got 4 feature updates. I've got 1 major software release, and I don't have to buy those things. It's automatically in my budget. It means my skills are always current, so I always have the latest and greatest tools to help my business succeed. And it's an easy solution that's always up to date from a security patch perspective. As soon as a vulnerability is detected, we apply it as a supplier once to every customer that's on the platform. So a cloud-based service really gives you the ability to squeeze the costs out of the business and frankly to take the headaches out of operating it. That's the feature. Now let's talk about all the benefits because there are a lot of them. And with our solution, Avaya Cloud Office by RingCentral, this is really something that has been unrivaled in this industry. Starting with the fact that it's the coming together of 2 industry leaders to create a solution that gives customers the disruptive benefits of cloud without the disruption in getting there. Our solution takes the best of 2 vendor solutions. When you choose Avaya Cloud Office, you get more features, you get twice the R&D, all at the same price as buying a standalone service by itself. You get the highly available, highly scalable RingCentral platform with its global reach. So if you have remote offices anywhere around the globe, chances are we can get you numbers and support for them. You get a robust suite of analytics that you're going to see in a few minutes, and you get MVP, messaging, video, and phone, all in a single subscription, all in a single app that's tightly integrated. But then you add to that, you get innovation in terms of Avaya devices. You get the features that make our devices so robust, and you get a experience that's second to none. Both during the transition from on-premise to cloud, we make sure that nothing's lost in translation, and after go live, if you have any issues, you're dealing with something that's unheard of in this industry, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. This is a solution that is designed to be easy. And when we look at how users communicate in today's enterprise, there's one tool that really has become the default communications tool for everybody, and that's email. Email is easy. Every user has a single email address that synchronizes on all of your devices. When I need to send an email, I just send it to my somebody's email and it just reaches them. We want to do the same with phone calling and with messaging and with video. And the way that we do that through Avaya Cloud Office is we start by giving every user a single phone number, a business phone number. That phone number will synchronize on all of your devices that are logged in. So incoming calls will ring no matter where you happen to be logged in, your mobile phone, your tablet, your computer, your desk phone. When you make a phone call from any of these devices, the far end caller ID will show your business phone number. So this way, when people call you back, you've got less to manage because all unanswered phone calls go to your office voicemail, one voicemail. We realize that conversations are more than just phone calls. It's not enough to have one number that supports all of your devices. It also needs to support all of the ways that you communicate today. So your one number with Avaya Cloud Office gives you unlimited calling, but it also gives you unlimited faxing, unlimited messaging, and unlimited text messaging as well. So there's no need to give anybody your cell phone number. With Avaya Cloud Office, we turn apps into features. So every user will have enterprise messaging and their own personal video conferencing bridge. You can invite up to 200 parties to a single call. You'll see 16 people on screen at once in high definition, and you can share your desktop with everybody that's on the call. But that's not really all that exciting. Everybody does that. Avaya Cloud Office is built around a realization that there's more to meetings than just seeing and sharing. What about the people who couldn't attend in real time? Sure, you can record the call and they can watch an on-demand replay, but what if somebody doesn't want to spend 30 or 60 minutes or 90 minutes watching a video? Well, with the Avaya Cloud Office, they can read the Cliff Notes because inside of the same tool that we're seeing and sharing, users can keep notes and share those with the team. Speaking of sharing, we can also share the documents that were used during the meeting inside of this same tool. So instead of having to dig through my hard drive, go over to Dropbox, upload a presentation, wait for it to finish uploading, copying the share link, then going to email and sending that when somebody asks for a copy of the slide deck, it's in the same tool that we're using to see and share. The other element of meetings that we track with Avaya Cloud Office are those tasks, those follow-up items, those questions. We make sure that they don't become forget-me-nots because inside of the tool, you can track those tasks. So the next time that the team meets, everybody's on the same page, whether they were there live, they watched the replay, or they read the Cliff Notes. You can check in on those tasks to make sure they're moving through to completion, and then you can just move on to new work. By putting all of this functionality into a single app, we take the work out of getting work done, and by turning apps into features, we also reduce the cost at the same time. So simplicity is the key feature for your end users. But what I also tell people is this is an easy solution for end users, but it's also even easier for our friends in IT. This is as easy to manage as your online banking. All you have to do is log into a web page and you can make changes to the entire organization. You can modify hunt groups, you can change auto attendance, you can even add users and phone numbers in a matter of minutes. And just like your users are on the go using different devices, administrators are too. And when you have an urgent request come in to make a change to the system, you don't have to wait until you're in front of a computer to do it. You can open up the app on whatever device happens to be available and just make it and go on with whatever you were doing. So it's super easy to manage. It's also super easy to troubleshoot. And this is one of the big fears that customers have when they think about moving to cloud. For years, we've preached the need for managed networks and quality of service and MPLS. And in a cloud-based world, everything's running over the public internet where there's no quality of service. What happens when something goes wrong? What happens when a user reports a bad experience? Well, our friends on the help desk can be somewhat handcuffed. It's not like they've got a DeLorean that they can go back in time to figure out what went wrong, unless they're using our solution, because with Avaya Cloud Office, we include a time machine in the form of analytics with every single account. We measure everything, including how your calls performed as they went from site to site. So if you have a report of a bad audio or a bad video experience, you can start investigating. You can round up the usual suspects. Was it network? Was it packet loss? Was it jitter? Was it on the upload side, the download side? You'll see all of that. But in a world where we're using devices like our computers, our cell phones, and our tablets to join meetings or to make calls, well, sometimes the villain of the story is the device itself. And you'll see all sorts of information about that as well. You'll see the device, you'll see the network connection it had, what operating system was installed with patches. You'll see the carrier, you'll see device information like processor utilization and memory allocation during the conversation. So this way you can find that needle in a haystack, and if it's something you can fix, you can do that to make sure it never happens again. And this too is in the mobile app. So you can access this from whatever device happens to be handy. Now, when I mentioned my customer was using Slack and his question of what am I paying twice for and what does it do to justify that duplicated expense? Moving your data out of a team messaging app can be painful. And if you don't want to do it, if it justifies a duplicated expense, you don't have to do it. A lot of our customers are using Microsoft Teams because it's been bundled with your Office 365 account. If you like Teams, keep using Teams. We just make Teams work better because one of the biggest benefits of Avaya Cloud Office is our app integration library. We integrate with pretty much everything on the market, including Microsoft Teams. So if you're using a CRM like Salesforce, Zendesk, Zoho, ServiceNow, we've got a great integration for it. We can tie into Office 365 or G Suite, so this way you can join meetings with a single click. We integrate with pretty much every other app that's on the market, like Dropbox, Box.com, Trello for project management. And if there's an app that we haven't already integrated with, you can use our free APIs to build those integrations yourself, or you can hire our professional services team to build it for you. So it's a super flexible, super easy solution that just makes it really powerful for your end users, your administrators, and your friends in IT. But this is a solution that really, like I said, is unlike anything that's come before it in the market. Most cloud products, when you buy them, you have a single supplier working on the platform. With Avaya Cloud Office, you actually have two. That's why you get double the R&D. RingCentral is pouring a ton of research and development into adding functionality and features to the platform, and you get all of those. But then on top of that, Avaya is investing R&D to make the platform even more robust for our customers. So I mentioned we're bringing over our devices, the J-Series desk phones, the B-Series conference phones, and our video endpoints like the CU360 and soon the Vantage device for your desktop. But what makes those devices powerful are the features that run on them. And we're bringing those to Avaya Cloud Office as well. So we've brought Call Park and Page over. We're in the process of bringing over bridged appearances and the visual voicemail interface for the J-Series phones. So when you move to cloud, you can do it without the compromises that you used to have to make. We also make that move simple, safe, and secure. We use automation. So our client success team can actually extract data from your existing gear and upload that into the cloud as the starting point for building your system. But then second, they further eliminate the business risk because it's not on you to explain to us what happens when one of your users presses a button, uses a feature, or dials a phone number. We understand your business. We make sure nothing gets lost in translation, so your go live is a dream. And then after go live, if you have any issues whatsoever, you contact our North American-based customer service organization. We'll troubleshoot the issue for you. And if it's a problem that needs escalation to our partners at RingCentral, this is the biggest benefit that you receive from our partnership. Unlike a different service where you're a customer of one waiting for help, we don't wait for help. You're taking advantage of a $500 million partnership between two industry leaders. We have a concierge team at RingCentral, which means your tickets are going to get more visibility, faster escalations, and a quicker close. And as you add additional services to solve other communications issues, like contact center, speech auto attendant, or cloud notifications, for example, well, all of those things are supported by the same team, so you have no multi-vendor headache with a single hand to shake for service. This is what makes this solution so unique. And instead of continuing to talk about it, what I'd love to do is show it to you. But while I'm breaking out of the presentation, are there any questions that I could answer for you or anything that came in All right. So I'll take that as a no, and I'm going to start the demo. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to show, and I'll stretch that out so you don't have the video within video. So what I'd like to do now is show you the management interface to show you how easy it is to manage the system. Then I'll show you the end user experience so you can see how your users can take advantage of these services. And then I'll show you the analytics tools that you can use to troubleshoot issues when they come up. Now, the first thing to point out is I'm just logging in. There's nothing installed on my computer here. I'm just going to a browser as a system administrator, and I'm just going to log into the system. That's not the right password. And here's our demo system. So from this main page, I can make changes to anything in my organization at any location. So like I mentioned, auto attendance, call queues, announcements, I can change it all. If there's something I don't know how to do, I can go to the tutorial gallery, click on a link, watch a short video, and now I'm an expert. It's like I've been jacked into the matrix. I know how to make those changes. What I'd like to do is show you the most common management request, which is how do I add users and phone numbers? And you can do that in minutes. So I'm going to click on users, and now I'm going to create a brand new user with a brand new phone number. So I click on add user, and the first step is setting up the phone number. So I'm going to choose, are they domestic or an international user? So I'm going to say domestic. I'm going to add how many phone numbers do I need? Just one. State, Massachusetts, where I happen to be. Area code, City of Champions, Boston. Phone number option, I need a new number, so I don't have a number for this user. Now I choose which type of a device I want them to be assigned. These devices will be pre-configured in our distribution center and shipped to you for a plug-and-play deployment. Literally unbox it, plug it in, and it's ready to go. I can choose from any of the Avaya devices, the desk phones, the conference phones. We also have an analog adapter, so if you need to plug in like a fax or a cordless phone, this will convert it to voice over IP. So for this demo, I don't need a phone. I'm just going to set up with the computer for my phone, and I'm going to hit add. I'm going to go to the next step. This is shipping info. So these devices will be pre-configured in our distribution center and then shipped to you. But you can choose where you want them to go. So if you are creating a care package for your user, a laptop and a cell phone, and you want it to ship the desk phone at the same time, you can have it shipped to your office, or you could just have it drop shipped to the end user. Since there's no hardware on this order, I'm going to get an error message, but that's okay. So I'll go to the next step. And this last step is a confirmation of the change that we're about to make to our account. So I can see the monthly recurring fee for adding this user. I can see the credit because we're very friendly to your friends and accounts payable. We only bill once a month. So there's a credit. I can see taxes and fees. Uncle Sam gets there a little bit. And if everything looks good, and it does, I just check this box and I hit next. And now I have a brand new phone number. There it is for my end user. So the next step is I need to assign the user to this phone number. So I'm going to try and remember. That's actually a cool number, 1899. I have to remember that, 1899. So I've got to go find that number in my inventory of unassigned extensions. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to search for 1899. There it is. And now I'm going to assign the user to that phone number. So first name, Bill, check. Verify unique, and there's only one of them. And now I can scroll down and I'm going to hit save. And that's it. Bill is now added to our account. Bill is going to receive an email letting him know that he has been added to the organization's Avaya Cloud Office account. It's going to tell him what his new business phone number is, and then it's going to ask Bill to finish setting up his account. Bill has to specify a password unless we're using a single sign-on source. So we could use your Office 365 or your G Suite accounts, or we could even tie into your Active Directory. And then Bill has to specify a physical address where he'll be using the service. And this is for emergency services. So if Bill dials 911, we know where to send first responders. Once Bill does both of those things, he can download the app, log in, and he can start using those services immediately, literally within 5 minutes. Any desk phones that were ordered for Bill will be shipped to the addresses specified during the setup process. So that's how you manage via Cloud Office. Now what I'd like to do is I'm going to minimize this window, and I'm going to open up the Avaya Cloud Office app. Now, this is an app that does calling, messaging, and meetings. It's the same look, feel, function, whether you use it on a Mac or on a Windows computer, whether you use it on a mobile phone, iOS or Android, or a tablet, iPad, or any of the Android boxes that are out there. You can do calling, messaging, and meetings. So I'm going to start by showing you how to make phone calls. So I click on the phone icon. I can see a list of all of my calls, inbound calls, outbound calls, and missed calls. If I open up the dial pad, I can make a phone call. I can dial somebody by name, so I could look up Natalie. Or I could dial a phone number manually, which I'll dial my cell phone. And this also integrates with your Office 365 address book, so all your contacts will be there. Now I'm going to mute, and I'm going to mute. Now, while I have a call put together, I can make it a conference call by clicking add. I could also make it I could transfer this call to another user in our organization, or I could use this feature called Call Flip. Call Flip is like the drafts folder for your phone calls. So just like with email, you can start an email on one device, save it to the drafts, and then pick it up from another. Call Flip gives you the ability to do the same thing with calls. I could start a call on my computer, and then I could flip it to another device. So if it's 4:50 and I've got a really important call that I've got to see through, but I also need to leave the office on time tonight, all I have to do is flip it to my desk phone, pack my laptop up, and as soon as the call's over, get going. If I know the call is going to bleed into my commute, I can flip it from my computer or desk phone to my cell phone and then just get on the road. So that's how you make calls with Avaya Cloud Office. Unanswered calls will go to your corporate voicemail. You can get those in your email if you'd like to, but if you're like me and you get enough email as it is, I like keeping them separate. I can access them right here. So I can see a list of all of the messages. So if this was the one that I needed to check, I could look at this and I click play. But you know what? It's 52 seconds long. Who has time to listen to a 52-second voicemail, right? I don't. All I have to do is click show transcript, and I can see a speech to text transcription of this call. It's not 100% accurate. It's transcribed by an AI, but it gives me enough to get the gist of why Matthew called me. And now I can choose to return his call by either text, because there are certain people you want to text and not call, right? I can click to call him back if I'd rather call him back, or if it's an internal user, I'll also have the video option, so I could video call this person back. Another neat feature is if this is a nuisance caller from the outside, I can also block them. So just like on your cell phone, I can block this person from ever contacting me again. Now that block is a personal block. If I block Matthew, he can't call me, but he could call Natalie. If you have somebody that's a nuisance across multiple users in your organization, the system administrator can actually manage a block list for your entire company, not just an individual user. So that's voicemail. Faxing shows up down here. So all my inbound faxes will show up. I got a spam fax, so I can click to show you. It's a view. The neat thing about faxing is it also synchronizes on your mobile. So if you're on the go and you receive a fax, you can open it up right from your cell. If you need to send a fax, you just hit the plus sign, compose a cover page, and hit send. Texting, so I can send a text message to an individual user. So I'm going to put in hit next. You can do a single message or you can do a group message. And the person on the other end just thinks they're talking to you on your cell phone. So they can respond back. If the cellular gods cooperate with me, there it is. And I can communicate back and forth. I too can pick these conversations up mid-discussion from device to device. So if I started this chat thread via text on my cell phone in the Avaya app, when I get back to the computer, I can pick up the discussion with a full keyboard, and the person on the other end thinks I'm just really good at typing on my iPhone. Now, by putting these channels or types of communications into a single app, it definitely is simple, but it's also separated. I don't accidentally run the risk of sending a message to my boss or to a customer that I meant to send to my wife or kids. By putting all of my professional communications into the Avaya app, it's just one more safeguard against any type of embarrassing situations. So that's how you use the Avaya app on your mobile device, your computer, or your tablet to communicate individually. Now, I mentioned we also include messaging and video with this product as well. So to access those, I click on the Messages tab. I can send messages to individual users, whether they're a part of my organization or an external user. I just put in their email address, and then they can download a free account if they're not an Avaya customer, and then we can chat back and forth. Or if I'm putting together a group who's working on a project, I can create a team where we'll all get together. So if I click here, I can give it a team name, the Justice League. I can invite team members, so Batman. I can also invite people who aren't a part of the organization by their email address. Give it a team name description. We need there's a whole batch of settings underneath that I could tweak, but I'm just going to leave them as the defaults. I hit create, and now this has created a team space. At a surface level, this is a chat group. But when things become too much to type, well, I can make it a video call or a phone call with a single click up in the top. If I click here and choose Start Video Call, it will notify all team members that I've called the meeting to order, and they can either swipe to answer on their mobile devices or click to answer on their computers, and we'll gather everybody together. Now, I'm not going to break the space-time continuum by starting a video call within a video call, but in that interface, we would be able to see each other or share a specific desktop. If I need to upload a file that the team's working on, like say this presentation, I can just upload it into the same tool. So I could find the presentation, click upload, and now it lives in the tool. No more going to Dropbox, getting a share link, going to email, everything lives in the same place. We can also take notes during the meeting. So I could open up a note, meeting minutes, and I come down to the body and I can, attendees, Batman was there, Superman was there, Green Lantern. Notes, we need to find Diana. She knows where Aquaman lives. Now I can also add some formatting here to make this a little bit easier to look at. So, throw a header there, throw a header there. Maybe I'll put a divider there. Once I have it perfect, I can share it with the team with the single click. And now the meeting minutes live in the same tool. So people who couldn't attend in real time can either watch the replay because the video will live in the app, or they can just open up the meeting minutes and get caught up with the cliff notes. During the meeting, we determined that we need to have a task. We need to find Aquaman or find Diana. So I'm going to click on New Task, find Wonder Woman. I can assign it to one or multiple people on the team. So Batman, you're up. Due date, we're going to meet again next week, so we've got to have it done by then. I can add a description, ask her how to find Atlantis, and hit post and close. And now the task is in the same tool as well. So the next time we meet, everybody's on the same page, whether they were live, they watched the replay, or they read the cliff notes. We can check in on the task to make sure we're progressing to finding Aquaman, and then we can move on to new business. This is how this tool takes the work out of getting work done for your end users. And like I mentioned, it's available for mobile, it's available for computer on all platforms. Now, the last thing I'd like to show you is how we can help our friends on the IT help desk when an issue comes in of bad audio or video experience. And the way that you do that is you access the analytics portal. The analytics portal has access to all sorts of data. I joke that we are data hoarders because if it goes through your account, we measure it and we track that measurements. So we can show you data around feature usage and adoption. So you can see who's using what functionality, and this could give you targeted education opportunities to increase productivity. We run performance reports, so you can track how many calls are coming into which locations and which groups and who answered those calls. And then, like I mentioned, we also have the quality of service tab. So I can go in and I can see what happened on a phone call that caused that bad experience. Now, I can see all of the calls that have gone through my account today. And if I'm rounding, 99% of them are measured as good quality calls. But there are a couple that were reported as bad. So I can click to filter to see just those. And I can see a list of all of those calls. And if I click here, I can start to investigate what went wrong. And let me try and find a better example of one. This is also our development sandbox. So we have a bunch of people testing stuff here. So here's a good one. This is what I was looking for. So in this case, I can see that the issue was not network related, although there was a touch of packet loss and there was quite a bit of jitter on this call for Jackie, but it was still pretty good. Didn't affect the service quality. I can also see Jackie made this call on her computer using the web phone application. So she was actually using a thin client to make this call to the customer. So I can see that she was using an Ethernet connection with this computer. Good for her, having an Ethernet connection in her home office. I can see she was using AT&T. Because she was using a browser, we don't get device-specific information. And I can also see the issue was on the download side from the cloud to the PSTN network. So the other side may have had some issues. So you can go in and investigate. And if I go back to the overview, let me find another call that I can use. You can filter these for a variety of different things. So I could say I just want to see somebody that was using the app desktop. I don't want hard phone. Click done. So this will give me more the device information. So in this one, I can see Viviana, when she made this phone call, was using the soft phone on her Windows 10 laptop. I can see she had an Ethernet connection for 100% of the call. She was in the Avaya office, so that's interesting. I can also see her device performance during the call. So her CPU was at about 46% max during the call. The app was only using 14% of that, so nothing major. And I can see her memory allocation. This tool gives you the ability to find that needle in a haystack. This is reactive. I am going in and pulling that data. I can also go to a proactive approach by creating an alert. So I can create an alert for a specific user. So I can create new, and I could do user, location, network connection, carrier, if I know a certain carrier is experiencing issues. So I'm going to create a CEO tracker just to make sure if our CEO has a problem, we need to know about it. This is a high alert. The target, and you can choose what you want to measure. So I'm going to measure a user. I'm going to promote somebody. Pavel, you're now the CEO of Avaya. Congratulations. The trigger for this alert is a bad phone call greater than 1. And now I can choose how do I want to be notified. So I can be notified via email. So when Pavel has a bad call, we'll receive an email. Or I can choose to be notified via messaging. So I can find that team that I just created, the Justice League. There they are. If I click this and I click done, anytime Pavel has a single bad phone call, the Justice League is going to be notified of it inside the Avaya Cloud Office app. When Pavel calls into the help desk, we've already researched what the issue was, and we're greeting him with a solution instead of listening, researching, and then suggesting an answer. That is Avaya Cloud Office and how we help users across all constituencies, whether you're an administrator, an actual end user trying to get work done, or our friends on the help desk who need to troubleshoot issues as they come up.